I love bushes. I'm a bit of a bush connoisseur. If you like a big, full bush and want to toss some nuts around in the open, there's a park where you can feed the squirrels. The person who designed the park loves bushes so much that he placed the benches on the outer edges facing the bushes instead of the open field. When I asked why the developer did that, I was told it was because he enjoys watching the hedges get trimmed. Everyone likes a well-trimmed bush, especially if you're coming round the bend. It is hard to see around the corner after all. My neighbor forgets to trim her hedges, and it makes the front of my property look messy. So I went and invited my neighbors over for dinner and brought it up gently, and without beating around the bush, I told them it's really high time that she starts trimming her hedges. Well, I never thought that I'd get a black eye over the topic of landscaping. I don't understand why women are so sensitive about the topic. I asked another woman if she could try to maintain her bushes a little more. It just looks more respectable is all. She said she didn't understand what the big deal was. In her mother's generation, everyone had full bushes and were quite proud of their natural landscaping. Have you ever seen a Japanese garden? The bushes are beautiful and exotic looking. They are trimmed oh so nicely and absolutely glisten in the sunlight. They don't let just anyone in there though. You have to pay admission, so you have to really want it. If you want to find a really nice cozy bush, ask a homeless man. He spends plenty of time exploring some of the best bushes, some of the most natural and welcoming bushes. I asked a homeless man where to find the best bush. He said there's a bush he really enjoys. It is warm and soft, and he likes to snuggle up inside it after drinking a warm bottle of sherry. There are a lot of different types of bushes out there. How do you like your landscaping? Do you prefer Martha and Ivan, or just jasmine? I like a good rose bush myself, but sometimes it gets too thorny. The first bush I see when I wake up is morning glory. This bush is quite showy. It has trumpet-shaped flowers, which often open in the early morning but shy away by midday. I much prefer the morning glory over the night bushes. It is hard to see anything in the late hour, and I never know what might pop up and surprise me. Some bushes are beautiful, but you don't want to eat their berries, because some bushes are more toxic than your in-laws. Some of those bushes look delicious, but don't be tempted to partake in any pokeberry tasting. They may look like wine grapes, but don't drink any, or you'll be taking the devil's communion. I had an ex named Ivy, who also had a toxic bush in her yard. I called it Poison Ivy. I named it after her. There was a pie shop down the road from her place that made excellent pie. I asked the server one day for this sweet cherry pie, and she looked me dead in the eye, winked, and asked me if I'd like some wild cherry pie later. That woman must have been mad-hatted. Everybody knows that wild cherries are full of dry foliage and they're poisonous to their pit. That is no way to advertise pie. And wild cherry isn't really a bush. It's more of a short tree, trying to disguise itself as a bush. I think it's important to make that classification before eating any berries off a plant. My grandma has a really old bush in her yard. It's called an elderberry. Again, technically a tree. Not to be confused with the hawthorn berries. This one fellow in town is a bit of a pervert. He planted a bush along the side of his property called the Virginia creeper. Fitting, isn't it? You don't want to go anywhere near his bush, though, because it will give you a rash. Avoid any bush that can cause a rash, or at worst, clemitis. I have a friend who is an avid outdoorsman. He likes to go hunting and spends a lot of time exploring bushes. He's gotten really good at recognizing trees and plants that present themselves as bushes. He doesn't have anything against trees. He just prefers to be in the bushes. He loves a good chestnut. which looks very similar to the poisonous buckeye. Only buckeyes are much smoother and don't glisten as much. Juniper bushes are beautiful, but they have a urine-like smell. If you want a sweet-smelling bush, honeysuckles are the way to go. It is a bush that tolerates pretty well any condition. Red chokeberry bush, native to eastern North America, is tasty and fragrant, and even the chicks love it. Chokeberries like moist terrain. If you're going to eat chokeberries, make sure the timing is right. You want to make sure to eat them while they're fertile.